Welcome to the Entrepreneur Podcast, where we take a look inside the lives of the accomplished and successful businessmen and women. We'll get up close and personal with the founders of booming startups. So lean in and prepare to carry away something to skyrocket your own business. Please subscribe to our show and do leave us a review. It means a lot to us. Now, here's your host, Rajiv.
Hey listeners, welcome to the Entrepreneur Talk Show. I'm your host Rajiv Unikrishnan, and this is the show where we talk about entrepreneurship and speak to great founders, entrepreneurs, and investors. Today we have with us Karthik Kumaraswamy, founder of Spotizen. Welcome, Karthik.
Hi, nice to be here.
Yes, just a brief intro. Spotizen was created with a simple function to help users find the nearest parking lots available to them, and the app is currently available in Singapore. A brief on Karthik. He did his MBA from HEC Paris and a BTech from IIT Madras, and currently resides in Bangalore. Prior to Spotizen, he ran two startups, IOTA and PepperTalk, with varying degrees of financial success. And of course, after all that, a great learning experience. And he was also product manager in different roles. Again, welcome Karthik. Welcome to the show, and do fill in the gaps, if any, in the intro. And do let us know what's going on in your world today.
Yeah, nice to be here. Thank you very much. Essentially, right now the world is about trying to find parking. So that's the
Okay.
that's the main focus. Otherwise, things are going along.
Great. So, other than before we move to business, any passions outside of work?
Passions as such, essentially, I'm one of those guys who generally wants to try new things. I guess, and one of the things that I think mentioned to you over the mail was, I like food, so more watching food shows and trying out various food options wherever I might travel,
Got it.
and then try my hand at amateur cooking stuff.
Okay.
So that's one of the
So,
interests.
moving on to product. Of course, the inevitable question is what inspired the idea for Spotizen?
No, so I think the idea is not something that I think everybody has thought about this. Fundamentally, every big city has a terrible parking problem. Now, the idea was to try and figure out what is it that we need solving in the immediate future.
Okay.
Because we know there are, if you take parking as a large-scale infrastructure problem, every city has either shortage of spots or people driving around looking for spots all the time. So
Correct.
fundamentally, our question was, okay, we'll have to start somewhere. And so what we thought of was, let's look at it as sort of a three-stage problem. One is for the drivers or the citizens.
Yep.
And one is for the cities themselves who are managing these things. And then businesses that are generally affected because of parking as a problem.
Okay.
And we started off with the citizens angle, which is, and then when we sort of spoke to a bunch of people and did our own little study, the biggest pain point is just finding a spot that is available without
Correct.
having to spend half an hour, 45 minutes roaming around.
True.
So that was, and the idea was, okay, how do we fix it? Which is basically a communication problem and information problem. And people just need to know, okay, the minute they're going to reach some destination, and these are the spots where they can park right now.
Yeah.
Right?
All right.
So, and that was the fundamental start of this whole process of figuring it out. And then, obviously, this essentially means availability of data.
Correct.
And one is data on where parking is legally allowed in a city. Two, the sort of the real-time availability of information. And when we looked at both these, and that's where sort of Singapore became the starting point for us. Simply because Singapore has pretty much everything documented with location information. And then they provide some level of availability for some of the sort of your electronic parking laws.
Yes.
Now, so that we thought was a great place to start with. And then we'll build a data model using which we could predict parking where it is not really available as a real-time information from the government.
Got it.
Right. So that's, And the second part is one is knowing, okay, 20 spots available here or 100 spots available there. How do we make it most useful to drivers who just want to look at it and say, hey, listen, this means, okay, I can try my luck at this parking lot. Because if I tell you, like, there are 50 spots available in Marina Bay Sands or 50 spots available in a small HDB parking lot, they don't really mean the same, because 50 out of 3,000 total capacity is actually really full parking lot.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas 50 out of 100 is basically half empty.
Yeah.
Right. So that's when we decided that I think the user experience needs to be a little different than just showing numbers.
Correct.
Right. And sort of give a feel to people that, you're better off looking here versus there. So that's how we came up with our, that's went into the way we designed our app to show information. So that's fundamentally how the product has evolved.
And what would be the vision for the company?
So see, we're looking at it. Parking is obviously a big enough problem in itself terms of an infrastructure thing. But then when you're trying to build, so we are mostly a software company, right? So we're not going to be able to build new parking lots or new parking whatever.
Correct.
Right. Now, but what we do understand is just general, like big cities. General mobility is a problem. I mean, how do I go from point A to point B in the best, easiest, cheapest, healthiest way? And could we build a software recommendation system, which can be an app, which can be a bot, it can be anything one. That you don't have to be imprisoned to one way of doing things. Fundamentally, the idea is to provide a solution which will help citizens go from A to B in the best possible way.
Got it.
Right. Which means, okay, if you want to drive, hey, parking is an important part of driving. Okay, so I'll show you where you should go and park. If you don't want to drive, okay, well, you can take this train and this bus and walk here, or take this bike here. Can you manage everything using a simple interface?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that helps people decide very easily.
Yeah.
And takes the time out of thinking about all the options. And then take it from it. So fundamentally, how do we make urban mobility a lot simpler than it is? And with cities becoming more and more congested and difficult to move around, we thought this would be the interesting solution. And then there are associated things that we can look at, whether it is helping transportation companies or cities or automobile companies. So that's the larger goal.
And I mean, when you thought of the idea, was it only you, or do you have any co-founders who took this idea to reality?
So we are essentially a team. So we sort of working with there's a co-founder of mine who is also running a sort of IT services company.
Okay.
And then I am sort of like an entrepreneur in residence type of thing, where we're building the product out of this company.
Okay.
But we have a team of engineers, software engineers, working with this. So there is always a team just to bounce off ideas and then figuring out the right approach.
Got it.
So doing something solo is too difficult.
Okay. So if I understand correctly, your app collects data from the Singapore Land Transport Authority, the LTA, the Urban Development Authority, the URA, and users' phones. And if you combine all this info and then predict the availability of slots, right? So how exactly does the app work for a user?
Right. So basically, we have an app on iOS and Android. Okay. You just download the app. The app will ask some permission for access to a location, so that we can actually give recommendation on based on where a user is in terms of their location. Mm-hmm. And then immediately it will load all the parking lots around a particular location, whatever the user's current location is. And what we've done is we've used color coding.
Okay.
Generally known color coding. I think people are very comfortable with the way, say, Google shows traffic or Waze shows traffic.
Got it.
You're red, amber, and green. So we color code all our parking lots based on availability. So this availability data, like you said, so you have the A provides something called the data mall, from where there are a bunch of data feeds, and then the URA gives something on a bunch of HDB locations. Using that and using our own data engine, we predict availability using a bunch of these criteria, size of the parking lot, and create this color code.
Got it.
And then we show that. We also provide a simple search feature using an autocomplete. So you want to go somewhere, you type the location, and we show you within about whatever, half a kilometer, quarter kilometer radius, all the parking lots with all our color coded availability information.
Okay.
And then you can sort it by distance, by price.
Got
And
it.
then we just give you an option to navigate to that spot from where you are.
Okay. And then how does this data analytics work in this?
How does this data analytics work? So, see, fundamentally, it's about predicting just availability,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And what are the, and when we say availability, again, it is almost, you can look at it as what we think is a chance that you can, it's a combination of, okay, how many spots that are empty, plus, other size of the lot and perhaps traffic. The other thing is about trends. Like, for example, right now, let's say we take a parking lot. Let's say that has got about 100 total number of spots.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Out of which, let's say right now, there are about 60 that are occupied. Say 40 are empty. So it's about 40% is empty. Right? But if 1 hour ago, there was about 80% that is empty, and it's come down to 40% in 1 hour, it's an important information, right?
Correct.
Because that means the trend is that it is filling up really fast.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So then you take into account what the time of day is and how the traffic is. You can see, today is a Monday. So the trend is going to be on Mondays that things are going to fill up around this time. So you basically try to bring in as much information as possible to give a simple way for users to understand that parking probability is reasonably high, very low, or it's a sure shot.
Okay. Got
Right.
it.
So that's the approximate approach.
Okay, got it. And so you've done around what 250 plus downloads, or it's much more?
Yeah. So we just launched the 1st of September or so.
Oh, okay. Just recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So and then we got a couple of hundred downloads. The interesting for us, I think, is one is of course downloads. We want to drive a lot more downloads, and in an app like this, daily usage is great.
Yes.
Returning users are a pretty good indicator also, simply because they want to find parking spot. The parking whenever they are. We want to be the app that they have to open the minute they are driving.
Okay.
So that's our sort of goal, right? So we're seeing reasonable repeat usage. So that's a little encouraging.
And this is all organic downloads?
Yes. I mean, we got mentioned in a couple of blogs recently. So I think that helped.
Got it. And in terms of, you all are covering approximately 3,000 parking lots and 425,000 parking spots across Singapore.
Right.
And I guess there is immense growth. There are already 2 million plus licensed drivers in Singapore. And so where are you seeing, of course, the island by itself is small, but any usage pattern that you're seeing already? Or?
No, it's still a little early to see that, I think. Because it's been about a month and just about 200 odd sort of downloads. We're still really early in our user data.
Okay.
Thing. So I think maybe give it another month or two. Then we should have some interesting insights, I think, on when people look for parking, and there should be some decent.
Correct. So you all are only in Singapore right now, correct?
Yes, Singapore has been our first launch.
And I guess there's no revenue model as of now.
So the revenue models are still being worked on.
Correct,
Because
correct.
the thing is, I mean, parking, we know it's a global problem, but it's also very local. Because,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
example, I mean, in Singapore, where I mean, you have basically the two types of payment, right? One is your ERP,
yeah.
the other is the coupon.
Coupon, yes.
And there is no getting away from either of these.
Yeah,
So we have to figure out a way to build in a different model to monetize.
correct, correct.
And it could be various things. So, and that's only if you think parking is the only thing that we want to do. So we still ultimately, I think for us, if we build something where there is enough usage, I think there will be interesting business models that can come up. And so that's
And
sort of the way we are looking at.
in terms of competition, there's Sure Park, correct? Currently?
Yeah. So I think there are obviously a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, this is not like some brand new problem that we suddenly stumbled upon, right? Like people have been working on parking
Correct.
for a while. It's just that we're trying to take what we think is our unique approach. Yeah, I think Sure Park is doing something. There are a bunch of other apps that have tried to do this availability. I mean, even on One Motoring, for instance, you can find some availability shown with numbers.
Okay.
I think Continental released an app also, I think,
Okay.
about some time back. So, Sure Park is more an IoT driven play, I think,
Okay.
trying to do something different using that. So, yeah, I think everybody is trying different approaches. Nobody knows. I mean, it's not. I don't think there is only one solution or something.
Correct, correct.
So,
And where does your team size stand currently?
right now, we're about 4-5
Okay,
people.
okay.
Helping, essentially doing the engineering.
And you all are completely bootstrapped as of now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you looking to raise funds anytime soon, or?
That hopefully we will want to.
Okay.
Simply because I think it sort of helps you try out a few things.
Of course, experiment.
And and then ultimately, I mean, one of the things I've learned is you just need to be surviving for long enough to
Correct.
get somewhere.
Yeah, and so I mean, being developing the app in Bangalore and running it in Singapore, are you seeing any challenges?
No, so there's definitely one challenge. I mean, if you're obviously closer to the market you're operating in, if you're physically in the place, you can get quicker validations. It's easier to just pop into some place and talk to a bunch of people parking. Right, I can actually pop over to a parking lot and actually ask people about it. Right.
Correct.
Right. So it's a little harder sitting over here, but yeah, we'll figure out some ways to get that user feedback. Fundamentally, I think that's the biggest challenge.
Okay, got it. So, in terms of moving out of, let's say, product, over time, who's influenced you most in life?
Oh, I think it's for me. I'm sort of old enough now to know that there's a lot of people that you will meet along the way.
Yeah.
Right, and whether it is personal life, professional life, schools, colleges, it's more about just picking up all the things that you find interesting, valuable with whoever you meet and talk to. So I think there's a lot of people doing a lot of amazing things in various aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me, it has just been about trying to be humble and learn from whoever I meet.
Okay. And what is some of the best advice you've been given over time?
I think, yeah, generally being nice to people is one great advice, I think. It seems very obvious.
Yeah.
And yeah, generally being humble and then, just.
Okay. And over time you worked at different companies, had your own startups. But when did you know you were meant for entrepreneurship?
Oh, I think after working in various companies and just getting either bored or frustrated, it's more a case of, it's not like I don't look at it as like I'm meant for this or meant for that. It's just, okay, I sort of enjoy experimenting with new ideas. And yeah, at one point in time, I decided maybe about 6 years ago or something, then, let me try. And I think one of the important things is to understand the fact that when you're doing stuff on your own and you can fail.
That's
you
true. That's
just
true.
can you take failure, in a normal way and keep going.
Got it. So, in terms of where do you see yourself in your business, let's say in the next 2 to 3 years?
I hope to take whatever we're working on forward. So,
Okay.
see, we know that, approximately where the world is kind of turning in, especially in terms of transportation, mobility, and all that.
Yeah.
Right, with smart cities, smart nation, all that. So, somewhere it can be a small part in helping.
Great.
So that's basically the
Okay.
goal. So nothing.
And any last thought or piece of advice that you want to give our listeners?
Just persevere, keep at it, and things will work, things will not work, but just
Okay.
keep learning from that and
Okay. And
enjoy it.
please let our listeners know how they can reach you and also Spotizen.
Yeah, so Spotizen.com is the website, and Spotizen is available on the iOS and Android App Store. And you can always mail me at Karthik at Sakhatech, SAKHATECH.com. And I'm happy to receive your mails and respond to whatever questions, comments you may have.
Again, Karthik, thanks for taking the time to talk to us and inspire our listeners.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No problem. And all the very best with Spotizen.
Thank you very much, Rajiv.
So do visit Spotizen.com and visit us at theasianentrepreneur.com to get the show notes and also subscribe to our show on all the platforms. And do leave your review on your thoughts about the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. In the meantime, head over to theasianentrepreneur.com and check out show notes and other information to motivate you in your entrepreneurial endeavors.